Hey everyone, welcome to my channel once again, and welcome to this webinar. Today I am going to show you some demo on Azure Data Factory as well as Azure Machine Learning Studio. My main objective is to show you how to transfer on-premises data to cloud providers like Azure. Here I'm using Azure, and I'll do some machine learning stuffs like building some model and make the model ready for the predictions. I'm already in my Azure dashboard. Let me create a data factory first. So the scenario here is I'm using MySQL as my on-premises database, and this is actually a real-world case study. Mostly in banking or healthcare sectors, a lot of organizations they store their data on on-premises database. Now to get edge with the data science and machine learning, of course, these organization needs lots of computation power, but they're so choosy about the cloud provider so that they just don't want to expose their data to cloud provider. So to tackle this problem or solve this problem, we have some techniques like one can transfer their data to cloud provider like Azure here, do some machine learning stuffs, build some model, and then make the model ready for the predictions, and they can wipe out the data from the cloud provider. So the same case study I'm going to do here. So let's get started. Let's first create data factory. So I'm going to choose Central India as my location. For now, I do not need any Git repository. I leave all these things as default, and I need a public endpoint for my data factory. And then I'm not using any sort of customer managed encryptions. Let Azure handle it. I leave it these tags as blank. There is some validation failed. Let's see what is the validation. So it's complaining about this. We should not have any letters, or we should not have any underscore or any kind of special character here. So everything else is fine with me. Review and create. So it will take some time, like 5 to 10 minutes sometimes. So the deployment is complete here. Let's go to this resource. Now let's open it in another window. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a new pipeline. Okay, first let me show you what the data I have in my on-premises database. So here I have created one Docker Compose or the Docker container for the MySQL. Let me just run it. So once it is up, let me visit the phpMyAdmin that I have configured in my Docker Compose. This should be in localhost. Let me check the port number. The phpMyAdmin running at 8081. So this should be this one, yeah. And the server here will be DB, and there I have a mammography data. I got it from Kaggle, and this is like this. So this is all the breast cancer related data, mammography related data, and I'm going to transfer this data to a SQL, Azure SQL database, and then I'll do my machine learning stuffs there. So here I will add this move and transform, and I'll choose this copy data. Now I'll choose source as there is no source defined yet, so I'll define one source from here, and I will choose MySQL from the list. Then I'm going to create one linked service. I'm going to create a new integration runtime. I'll choose self-hosted here and then continue, and then it will ask for some name and other things. That is, I'm naming it that integration runtime 1 just, and then this is actually the key that I'm going to use my local machines. You can download the integration runtime and install in your computer. I have already installed it. You can just click on this link and download that software. So let me open the integration runtime. So once you install and run the integration runtime, it should look like this, and it will ask for the authentication key. So I'll copy one of the authentication keys from here, and I'll put it here and click on register. Let's see what happens. Yes, so it has connected my local laptop here, and this is the current node or my laptop I am going to connect here. Now you can see that integration runtime self-hosted node has been registered successfully. Now you can close that, and after coming to here where we left here, we can close this settings here, and this is the runtime we have created. So let's refresh the page for the latest update. So now when you select this integration runtime 1, it will complain about that these credentials are not your fault, but we can just ignore it for now. This is all the credentials or the server details that we have to put. So let me open the integration runtime once again, and this is the server name or the node name we have to put there. So let me type it, laptop, then 90K, I think it's O0, and this should be O0OTM. Port is 3306. Then the database name, let me check from here. This should, so the database name is mammog, MAMOG. Username is demo, and the password you have to put here. I do not have SSL here for my local system, and I don't need it for now. Let's create it. So it says it's successfully created. Now let's see what are the tables it's going to give us. So here is the data table that we got. We already have the data table here. We have all the data here. Now I'm not going to edit anything in this data. I just want everything as it is. So okay, this is all about source. Then I'm going to configure the sink or the destination database. So there, first I need to create a SQL database. So first let me create a AzureSQL database for this data transfer. So I'll write AzureSQL and this create. So from here I'm going to select single database and create. My resource group will be 24-oct demo. Database name, let me choose this MySQL ADF. Server, this is I have to choose some server configuration here. Let me name it MySQL DB trans, and I want it in Central India. Let me find it out. Here it is, and I'm going to use the SQL authentication for this. So the server login, I'm going to give demo for the username and some strong password. So once I configure the server here, it will again show me review and create, and I'll just check the networking, all everything okay or not. So the network connectivity, for now I'm going to do the public endpoint, and I want this options allow Azure service and resources to access the server as yes, and I'm not going to use any IP for now, and everything else is fine, looks fine to me. Let's go to security. Let's keep it start for free trial, that's fine. And the additional settings are fine for now. I don't want to put any tag, and create. So again, it will take some time, like 4 to 5 minutes. So here the deployment is complete. Now let's explore the resource here. So it's complaining about we have to whitelist this IP. So let's do that. So here I have to create a table where I'm going to map my local data to the cloud database. So let me quickly do some export from here. I'll do the export SQL, and once it is done, I am going to create this DDL statement from here. And put it here. Let's run it. So we have successfully created our tables. Let's view it from here just for making it sure. So this is a table where we are going to transfer our local data. Now let's go back to the data factory and try to configure the sink here. So here I'm going to select AzureSQL. Let me find it out. Yeah, AzureSQL database. Continue, and then so the linked service, I'm going to create a new one, and then I'm going to name it AzureSQL database 1, and I'm going to find it from my subscription, that is MySQL db trans, the server name, and the database name I'm going to add, this is MySQL ADF here. That is the database I'm going to transfer, and I'm going to use the SQL authentication with my password, with my username and password that I have given while creating the SQL database. So here it is, and let's create. So it says it's successfully created. Now let's the table names to be loaded in this field, and I'm going to select this dbo.data. I'm not going to edit. Click OK. So there we go. And here what I'm going to do is this is my sync setting successfully done. Now I'm going to mapping, and there I'm going to click this import schemas. So Azure has some intelligence into it, so the most similar words are going to get mapped automatically. So let me just inspect whether all the fields are fine or not. Some of the fields are complaining about mapping source are empty, so this is the concave point SE. Let me see, is there any name like this? Yes, here it is. Concave point worst, this should be here, and this one should be concave points mean. So everything looks like okay. So let's run it just clicking this debug button. And it shows that it has been queued. Let's see what will be the result. So it says succeeded. Let's go to the database and do some query from here. Select star from dbo.data. So looks like all the data has come here. So this is all about the data factory. Now let's go to the ML workspace, or the machine learning workspace. So from here, I'm going to create a machine learning new workspace. And I'm going to select Central India as my location, and everything will be same. And I'm going to create a new container registry where all the Docker images will be stored. So this should be something, let me name it QNT ML demo. There should be no hyphen. Looks good. Let's go to networking, and I'm going to do in public endpoint for now. And all other things I left as default. So it will again take some time, around 3 to 4 minutes. So the deployment is ready. Now let's go to the resource and launch the ML Studio from here. So first, I want to create a data store from here, the database we just created. So click New Data Store, and I'm going to name it MySQL DS. And the type would be Azure SQL. Let me just find, yeah, this one, Azure SQL database, and it should be from my subscription. And this should be the database. And I'm going to use the SQL authentication here. So the user ID is demo. Let's create it. So here it is. Now from this data store, I'm going to create a data set from here. That should be from here. Create data set from data store, and I'm going to name it as Mammo. So I'm selecting the data store I just created, and then select star from data. It has connected the database and showing the preview here. Click next, and I'm going to select all the fields from here, and this is the confirmation. Create. Great. So our dataset is created. Now I'm going to create a notebook from here to do all my machine learning stuffs. So let's create it from here, and I'm going to name it as my memo experiment. So once created it, and whenever we want to run some Python or machine learning stuffs, then we always need to create a compute for that. On top of our all Python code and machine learning codes will be running. So let's create a compute from here, new, and I'm going to name it memo compute. I'm going to leave it as CPU for now because it's not a detailed machine learning tutorial, it's just the ML workflow. So I'm happy with a single core CPU. Let's core 1. So I'm choosing this one, which is having only one core and 3.5 GB of RAM and 7 GB of storage. That is sufficient for me. It should be like this. I do not need any access for now, like SSH or and other thing. So let's create it. Again, it will take some time, like 4 to 5 minutes. So my computer is running now. Now I'm going back to notebooks, and here you can see my compute has been selected as MammoComp, and I'm going to select the 3.8 Azure ML. Okay. Now here comes the coding part. So first, let me import some libraries from Azure ML.core. Import Workspace, run, and experiment. Next, I'm going to create a workspace object from the present config. Next, I'm going to create the data frame in terms of pandas data frame from the dataset we have created. So let's check the head for it. Perfect. So we have successfully converted our mammography data to pandas dataset. Now we're going to create an experiment for all our machine learning stuffs. So I'm going to name the experiment as MammoEXP, and then I'm telling this run configuration to start logging my data. So next, let's test whether we are successful to adding some data in our logging or not. So it will be like this. Let's run it like this. So let's run it like run.log. First the name, total number of observations, and then the value is len of df. And remember, we need to always complete the run, otherwise it will keep running on the background. Run.complete. So it completes. Let's see our experiment from here. We have got MammoEXP here, and this is the run 1 that has been completed. And let's see, yep, the matrix has been logged here, that the total number of observations like this. Let's go forward with it. I'll delete this one. Now I'm going to copy paste some code that I have already made to just save some time. So here I'm importing the sklearn pre-processing level encode, and I'm just renaming the column for just for readability from the diagonesis to label, and I'm fitting into a level encoder. It will just make the malignant aim as 1 and the benign B as 0. So let's run it from here. Now on this code block, I'm separating the label and ID from other features, and I'm storing this data frame in X, and I'm feeding into min-max scaler to standardize the values. Here we go. That's fine. Next, I'm going to split the data into train and test set with this code. This is very basic with the sklearn. So here is my training data, and here is my testing data. I have 426 of row in training and 143 rows in testing. Next, I am feeding a logistic regression with my train and X-train and Y-train. Now let's print the score, how our model executed. It has 98% accuracy. That's very good. Let's print the confusion matrix here. So here's the confusion matrix. Next, through the job-lib library, I'm going to dump or save the model. The model is saved in output directory here. Then I'm going to upload the model. Then I'm going to register the model for the prediction or the inbuilt prediction with ML Studio. So let's run it. Now let's go to model here. You will see a SQL MIMO model that we just uploaded or registered. Let's create it from here. And this is all the information, the basic informations about the model. Now I'm going to create an endpoint from here, and I'm going to create a real-time endpoint, not for the batch endpoints. Maybe in the next video I'll explain what is the batch endpoints, but for now I'm going to create a real-time endpoint. I'm going to name it as Mammo endpoint. I'll keep the authentication type as key for now. Next, I'm going to select this the model that I have just created, and then next the deployment name, you can give it anyway, but let it be blue. Next, the environment is very important. Let me show you what Microsoft advised us to create scoring file. Okay. So the Microsoft recommended that the scoring file should be like in this format. There will be two functions like init and run. The init is just going to get your model from the output directory, which is stored as an environment variable in the container. And I have already saved the model as model.sav in Azure environment. And the run method is actually going to get some raw data as an input, and it is going to find the JSON data parameter or the data attribute or the data object from the raw data, and it is going to create a NumPy array. It must be a 2D array for the prediction, and it is going to pass the data in model.predict function. So let me add this file as my scoring file, and I'm going to select scikit-learn 0.24 as my dependency or the environment dependency. For now I'm going to use this one that has this standard DS2v2 2 course. And for now I'm going to use just one instance count. I'm going to send my 100% traffic to the blue deployment. That's it, and create. So here it is, my deployment is saying the provisioning state as succeeded, but it will take some time to get all the traffic allocation, and it will take almost like 5 to 10 minutes to be completely ready. And as you can see, the deployment state of the blue Mammo endpoint, that is transitioning. Transitioning means it is actually under creating. So let's wait for some minutes. Now as you see, it has got succeeded, and the traffic allocation also 100%, and the provisioning state is succeeded. Now let's test the endpoint from here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create some JSON object like this, that should be data. And the data is actually a two-dimensional array, and in this array I'm going to add some values. So here it is. Now let's hit test. So it is going to give you the predictions. Now you can give multiple values or multiple features, like multiple rows like this is going to give you the predictions. And you can consume it through REST API like this, and you'll have kind of some helper code generations here with the Python and R. Probably next Microsoft is going to publish Java, Node.js and all. But if you are a programmer, you can do it very easily. This is all about today's demonstration. Hope you enjoyed it. And remember, it's a kind of ML workflow demonstration. It's not kind of detailed machine learning or data science demonstration. Most of the cases, these kinds of workflows are needed in healthcare and banking and insurance industries. But this is some brief demonstration. You can play around with Data Factory and the ML Studio a lot. There are a lot of things you can learn it from. Again, thanks for watching. Goodbye and stay safe.